Next up on our adventure, we're going to talk about Deus Ex. Wait, bollocks. Let's try that one again. Next up on our adventure, we're going to talk about Deus Ex, a cyberpunk action RPG and my favorite PC game of all time. So, no wonder it's second on my list of shit to do a video about. The gameplay mechanics for Deus Ex for the time were really good, in that they refined the existing RPG mechanics from System Shock 2. In that game, you basically had to lend yourself to a specific character build or you were fucked. But here, you can put skills into pretty much anything and still beat the game. It's just that the specific character builds in the game can hamper the exploration somewhat. Speaking of, the exploration in this game is fucking great, and it's one of the shining factors that give this game a solid recommendation. Every environment is large and open, giving you various different ways to complete your objective, and the open nature of the maps gives you the ability to just mess around. New York City, for example, you can walk into a bar and the freedom is there to do whatever you want. Play pinball? Sure. Take the unwanted booze and cigarettes from various patrons all across the place? Go for it. Steal a shotgun from behind the bar for your own nefarious deeds? Questionable, but sure. Chat up the bartender and buy a candy bar, if that's what you want to do. Steal bottles of liquor without repercussion and get absolutely wankered? Slow down, son. Sober yourself up by smoking a pack of 40? Only in Deus Ex? And then finally, going on a shooting rampage without offending everyone ever and finish off with a game of drunken pool. So that's the level design. What about the weapons? Well, since the skill system means you can't just immediately shoot everything and everyone with pinpoint accuracy, sometimes you have to lend yourself to stealthing, especially in certain parts of the game. Also, try not to use the sniper rifle until you've at least put skill points into it. Or sobered up. My favourite weapon is the flamethrower, because it makes everyone dance. I'm also a bit of a sadist. And finally, there's also melee weapons like the baton and the crowbar, the latter of which is such a great weapon and probably my favourite melee weapon because of its pure stopping power. Wow. That's nasty. So now that we have the hilarious gameplay mechanics out of the way, what about the story? We're going to hit major spoiler territory here, so feel free to skip this part. So, let's begin. I think the story in this game is great. I'm not too great when it comes to immersing myself in the story of video games. In fact, a friend of mine jokingly tells me that I don't like RPGs, but he could be right when it comes to the story focus, since I don't usually pay attention to the story in most RPGs. Unless, of course, it's something like Monkey Island, but Monkey Island's not an RPG, it's a point-and-click adventure. So you're kind of forced to pay attention there. Anyhow, the basic premise is that you're JC Denton, this super cool bio-augmented dude with douche sunglasses. He's also great at one-liners.
Oh my god, Daddy!
What a shame. He was a good man. What a rotten way to die.
Get out! I got a bomb!
A bomb's a bad choice for close-range combat. How are the drinks here?
Great if you like red piss.
Never tried it, except send you back to the people in a body bag.
You initially start off at a dock on Liberty Island after a terrorist group called the NSF appear and start wrecking shit up. Eventually you rid the island of them, and you're tasked to pursue their bases of operations, moving to Battery Park and then to a suburb in New York City. But what you don't realise, however, is that something conspiracy-like is happening, and if you discover the clues, you can piece it together before it's revealed to you in the game. When I say that, I mean that early in the game, you can find a hidden underground base in New York City that is purely optional to find if you're not exploring around. You could just go ahead and just do the story as you want, but if you explore around, you could find this hidden base. Tying into the gameplay again, this kind of discovery was mind-blowing, and to a kid like me back then, when you finally discover that the people you work for are actually the bad guys, that is some crazy shit. In fairness though, the ambiguity of the whole conspiracy is a bit spoiled in the intro, which literally establishes the two suits are the bad guys who seek to establish power over the world by distribution of a nanovirus.
He was so willing it was almost pathetic.
This plague, the rioting is intensifying to the point where we may not be able to contain it.
Why contain it? Let it spill over into the schools and churches. Let the bodies pile up in the streets. In the end, they'll beg us to save them.
Whoops. Going back to the good guys with the bad guys part, if you're invested in the story and you genuinely believed you were on the right side, you felt this sense of guilt towards all the terrorists that you mercilessly killed, and you realize why your brother would reprimand you if you went crazy with the killing. See, as the story progresses, you go back to previous points in the game and you realize, oh, so that's why that is. It's pretty heartbreaking, and this twist in the story sets up a fantastic second and third act where you defect to the terrorist side and work to bring down the corrupt government officials who want to run the world. The final part is especially great since there are 3 tasks that you can perform in the final mission, which gives 3 separate endings. Unfortunately, this kind of system wasn't quite present in the newer Human Revolution, which opted for a choose-your-own-adventure ending by pressing a button instead, which is unfortunate. What's also great that depending on what you do, there can be certain different outcomes to later portions of the game. There are certain dialogues, for example, might appear if you do shit like wander into the ladies' restroom, or if you fail to notice that shifty looking fucking engineer piece of shit, fucking bastard. You'll cry as the lovable helicopter pilot you know throughout the game is blown to smithereens. Finally, the graphics and music. The graphics haven't aged well at all, but to be fair, this game is 15 years old and ran on the original Unreal Engine, which has evolved significantly over the years to its gorgeous 4th iteration. But with mods like New Vision and HDTP, you can make the textures and models look a lot nicer, as you can see in this video. The music in this game is fantastic and really suits the atmosphere of the game and its level design. The dynamic music system, again refined from System Shock 2, which in turn was influenced by games like Ultima Underworld and the original System Shock, changes the music depending on the situation you're in, which makes the perfect music for the perfect situation. One of my personal favourites is the combat music from the Vandenberg mission. And finally, I'll leave you with the music that plays when you first reach the Hong Kong market, symbolising the fresh new start of the second act.